All right, so now our installation is complete, but now it says our installation is not complete, so we have to go in and configure it. But for the most part, our installation is complete. A key indicator is that we can see this AVEVA OMI application manager over here. And then this is going to be the process of configuring our AVEVA System Platform software. So now we're going to go ahead and click configure. Keep in mind that you do have to restart after you do have to restart after you install the software, but you want to restart after you have successfully configured your software. So now we're going to go ahead. This is the common platform. We're going to go ahead and click perpetual. So there are different types of licensing when it comes to system platform, flex, and there is perpetual. We can dive into that a little bit later, but the key piece is knowing that you want to, for the most part, keep it perpetual. There is flex licensing, but not everybody who has flex licensing needs this particular license mode. So let's go ahead and click configure. This is yes. Now, this area that we're configuring right now, it says common platform, but this is the main thing that you want to know. This area here is the system management server, which is allows for node to node encrypted communication. So when you come here, you have to choose whether this machine is going to be the system management server, whether you're not going to have a system management server, meaning you're not going to have any node to node encrypted communication as far as the AVEVA software is concerned. And then you'd be able to configure. I'm going to set this as this is going to be our system management server, and I'm going to go ahead and configure. Now keep in mind that the system management server, anytime you adjust the configuration within here and you choose to connect to an existing one or set whichever one of these, you have to reboot in order for this configuration to take place. So just keep that in mind. I've seen people not do that and then have an issue months and months down the line because they never actually rebooted their machine. And in this industry, if I'm completely honest with you, there's a lot of companies who are not regularly rebooting their machines, and that is completely up to them. So just make sure you keep that in mind. So we're just waiting for this configuration to complete. You can see that this is using port 443 in its registry. So you have to make sure that if you're doing this for when you're doing this for a company, you have to make sure that the necessary ports are open. And if you have a external or internal IT team that manages all of that, you have to make sure that you know what software is using what ports so that they can have those allowances, especially if because you're not managing that through your local firewall and adding the rule, which we could talk about that. We may, but it's important, but it's not really included in exactly what we're talking about. It's just the tip that I'm kind of giving you guys. So here, this talks about the identity provider. We're going to go ahead and configure that. All right. Now here, when we come here, this is basically secure. This basically, if you don't have the system management configured or you have it configured to no system management server, the secure will always have this caution area. So it's fine if you have no system management server, no node to node encrypted communication, but just know that this will stay in that, it'll stay with the caution symbol. So we're going to go ahead and configure that, and this should all turn green. So the green check is what allows you to know if it is successfully configured. These are just the initial pieces that you haven't configured. Now, if there's trouble in paradise, there may be a different icon like what this caution symbol says. And some things take a little bit longer than normal. Not even longer than normal, but some things just take a little bit longer than others. Historian server is a longer one. It takes about 5 minutes. So if you ever get into the configurator and you're like, hey man, this is taking a substantial amount of time, I'm wondering if sometimes certain components require that time for configuration. All right, so now you can see that the secure portion is successfully configured. Now we're going to go and we're going to select what our license server is. So you can see that the primary license server is going to be default to the machine name of whatever machine that you have initially installed this on. You can see the server port, the agent port, and so on. And what you need to do here is if you need to point to a licensed server that is outside of the local machine, you would want to put that machine name in here, test the connection, and then configure. In this case, I'm going to be licensing my own machine. So I'm going to test the connection, which should succeed. So it succeeded. And then now we can go ahead and click configure. All right, beautiful. So now we have these green check marks and we're in a good space. Now this here, we can go ahead and click configure. If you want, you can come down here and you can read a little bit more about these. That's not the 100% premise of what we're working on today. So you can, research or you can, kind of look at these independently. We're going to go ahead and click configure here. Most of the times you'll get a nice overview by just kind of reading this through. You can see that this just kind of mentions that it's about the system management server and so on. So now we're getting down into the historian. Remember, our historian is our database. So if we come here, I like to keep all of this default. If you have a reason for changing it, that is completely up to you. Again, we have these ports here. You have to make sure at your IT team or that you have allowances within your firewall in order to make sure that you have outgoing and incoming communication, right? So sometimes we see communication issues or issues with the software, but it's mainly because there is only outgoing and maybe not incoming, but make sure your rule is outgoing and incoming, right? You have separate rules for each. Um, so now we're going to go ahead and click configure. Keep in mind, this configure here takes about 5 minutes, sometimes 5 to 7 minutes. I don't know. So walk away, go get you a little piece of coffee, go get you a snack. Um, Go grab some coffee. I usually just go ahead and sit here. 5 minutes isn't a lot for me, but it may be for you. If you need to go and take a bio break, do that and then come back and it should be done. So we'll be back at that time. We'll continue to wait through this process. All right, so it's been a nice amount of time, but our historian server is successfully configured. We're going to come down here. We're going to click security. Taking a little bit to respond. There we go. We're going to keep everything the same. You'll be able to see some of the things that it's going to go ahead and create here. We're going to go ahead and configure. All right, so the configuration just completed, and then we have search. Now, I'm going to preface this, and I just hope you guys remember it. There's a process when you may not be receiving data. So there's um, an application that is called, well, there's a product within the system platform family that is called Historian Client. Historian Client basically plots data based on different tags that you have within your application. It plots data, and sometimes you will have where sometimes you will have where the historian client does not display data. Now, the number one thing that we do, one, if it was plotting data and everything was configured correctly in the past, you know, the next thing I immediately think is we need to re-index your historian. And I bring this up because there's a couple steps that need to be taken during the re-indexing of your historian. Disabling your historian, and then you have to go in, delete files at this file location, and then you have to come here and check this checkbox that says reindex search documents, and then you're going to reconfigure it. Now, I say that because a lot of people have questions about this. They're like, oh man, where are those, where are those files that I need to delete first? Or, it's, you can find it in a tech note that's just about available to everybody, honestly. But if you can't, just remember this area here. When you think about the search, this is going to be, hey, re-pulling the documents from the historian, so that it can push that data. And oftentimes you'll see data start to kind of plot because those files are updated, and that's why they're deleted, and then they're re-indexed because they are recreated and then put back in this location. So I only say that for those of you who have ever heard of historian, re-indexing your historian, just know that this is a prominent area for that process. So we're going to go ahead and click configure. All right, so that's configured. Now we can go ahead and do reporting. Now this is already done. You don't need to check anything or everything like that is fine. Now, System Monitor Manager, this is something that some people use. Some people just configure it and never use it. I say don't configure it unless you know you're going to use it. Just so that you don't bog down your um, logs, your event viewer, not event viewer, your log viewer with these messages. Just I usually don't, but it's up to you if whether you choose to. And I'm going to go ahead and configure this here. All right, so now this is configured, and we can go ahead and click close. And it's going to say, hey, your configuration is not complete. Yes, it is. It is for us. So we're going to go ahead and click exit, and you have officially configured your system platform software. And now it's going to prompt, it's going to say, hey, you installed this software, you configured this software, and it's not completely done until you restart your computer. Now, I'm going to go ahead and restart now. Around this time, I say, if you've installed this in the morning and you have, development work to do it, but this is your first piece, this has taken us a little bit of time. You probably have already taken a look at the technology matrix. You've already had your plan, and then you've installed. So now we can go ahead and restart. Go get you some coffee, go get you some breakfast, and then come back. And then we are going to go ahead and start in with licensing. Okay. Now we're good. Are you an industrial automation engineer, or you're thinking about becoming one? Well, you want to go ahead and join the Industrial Automation Engineers Network. This is going to be a group of engineers that's going to be able to share life experiences. You're going to be able to drop your common questions that you might have about the software, about various things in the industries, maybe even best practices, maybe even some security questions. But it's going to give you a neutral place that's outside of one particular organization so that you don't lose access to these engineers should you ever decide to change your organization or pick up on some contract work. I want you to go ahead and join the Industrial Automation Engineers Network and go ahead and do it now. I'll see you there.